Thanks for what you do with your podcast and all the rest. You're doing a great job. Hope everybody keeps tuning in. You get a lot of good info, a lot of insights, understandings of how to get strong, how to stay strong, how to use your strength.
You do a great job, dude. You make things better than they are in real life, I think.
If you don't follow Massenomics, y'all do it. Social media, website, everything.
Massenomics.
Yeah.
Welcome back, everyone, for episode 438 of the Massenomics podcast, the lifting podcast about Nerfin. My name is Tanner.
And my name is Tommy.
Tommy, I could hear that intro music like I've never heard it before.
Oh, it did actually work better that time?
Yeah. Actually, you didn't even have to point at me.
Okay.
I'm like, hey, I know that when it's starting this time.
Even 400 weeks in, we still learn stuff every week.
Yeah, so we did some, the audio for the final listeners, no change. It's been working and would continue to work, but we figured out something with Zoom settings that can make it so we can actually hear each other's music and stuff over Zoom. So I guess our live listeners should also get a little bit better listening experience.
Yes.
Assuming we continue to know how to do what we're doing there. 438 of the Massenomics podcast. We got a special guest, Big Lucas Hatton, coming on here in a little bit. We've also got a lot of stuff to talk about, but before I get into that, I want to let everyone know to make sure to check out Juggernaut AI. Juggernaut AI is the training that Tommy and I both use. We're both using it currently. You can use it as well. If you like to, you head over to juggernautai.app. That's where you can check it out, find out more information. That's where you can get signed up. When you get signed up, make sure to use discount code Massenomics. It's the most important part. It's what will save you 10% for the lifetime of your membership. It's the programming that Tommy used to peak for his meet this summer at the Lift Hard, Live Easy Classic and hit some of the biggest numbers. He peaked real hard on it, hitting some of the biggest numbers that he hit in half a decade.
Bench PR, baby.
Bench PR all time. And we're both using it now for like a bridge block leading into not too long into, won't be long now until we're in a hypertrophy block. Find out more about all that block stuff, though, when you check it out at juggernautai.app.
And this episode is also brought to you by our friends over at Texas Power Bars. Texas Power Bars have been making the best power bars for, I don't know, Tanner, decades now. Decades. It's hard to keep track of all the years.
Definitely been a while, yeah.
It has been a while, as they say. They're obviously known for their world-class bar, the original Texas Power Bar, but they have a wide variety of bars, everything from the Texas Deadlift Bar, which you'll probably use in your next meet if your meet allows deadlift bars, or the Texas Squat Bar, or perhaps even the new and improved 29 millimeter Texas Power Bar if you want something with a little more modern twist on a classic.
Tommy's home gym approved.
Home gym approved. I'm all about the 29 millimeter Texas Power Bar. Great bar. If you'd like to get any of these bars, head on over to texaspowerbars.com and go crazy. Get one of them. Get one of all of them, or be like Tanner and get like 10 of all of them. And while you're there, tell them Massenomics sent you. Thank you, Texas Power Bars.
Well, thanks, Texas Power Bars. Yeah, we got a lot of good stuff here this week. First of all, I want to make sure to let everyone know if anyone's thinking about coming to our Crew Falls meetup event. That's December 7th in Sioux Falls. We mentioned it last week. What I would say now is there is a sign-up form for anyone that's planning on coming. Check that out on our website. You go to the top ribbon to the company tab and then Crew Falls Meetup. Click there. There's a brief questionnaire that you get to fill out.
You'll probably think, why are they asking me so many questions? I just want to go party. Questions are to be answered, though.
There's a moderate length essay required to be filled out, and we already have several people that have filled that out, but only fill it out if you're at least 69 to 75% sure you're coming. If you're on the fence, do not fill it out yet. You wait. Go ahead and wait until you know that you're coming, even if it's the day before. Keith said he's 50-50. I would say you don't fill it out then.
Nope.
Because we want to keep a head count of if Keith, we get a month out and he's like, no, I think I can make it work. I'm planning on doing it. I'm like 90% sure. Then you can fill it out. Mm-hmm. That's what I would say. So it helps us keep a number.
And there's already been quite a few people like that for being September, October, November, like 4 months away. The list, the roster is already filling up, which is nice. There's no limit to this. The roster can get unlimitedly large. Like there's no cap, but it is filling up. And a comment we did make last week. A lot of new faces. Yes, a lot of new faces. A comment we did make last week is if you live in a city that has an Allegiant airport that flies to Sioux Falls, it might be cheap. There's a few guys from Arizona and Florida looking, and round trip tickets for like $150, and that's damn near gas money right there. So
classic can't afford not to.
You really can't if you're in one of those situations. It's too cheap not to.
Yeah, you really, really can't afford not to. Let's see. Well, other big news is we do have our line in the sand is approaching. So for that's for anyone that's been considering becoming a supporting member. Now is the time to do that. It's looking like end of September. So approximately 1 month from now, we will have a mailing going out to everyone that's a supporting member. Everyone gets in on this, but you only get in on it if you're a supporting member prior to that line in the sand and still during that line in the sand. So you do want to join up now if you've been waiting. If you've been waiting, the time is right now. Mm-hmm. Like, don't wait any longer. Get signed up so you can take advantage of that. It's going to be a pretty cool one. It's a pretty fun one. We don't have it in hand yet, but it's been kind of finalized now, I think, at this point of what it's going to be. A couple maybe final touches to put on that. So get signed up now. This is one of your last warnings that you'll get to become a supporting member and to get in on this gift along with all the other cool stuff you get.
Do it. A lot of people listened last week. A lot of people got signed up last week. So be part of the wave here.
Yep. Want to be in the front of that wave for sure. Get in on it while you can. Your number may matter. Your number in the list could make a difference. So make sure to get signed up. Oh, okay. Also this week we have a drop today, this afternoon, the day that we're recording. We actually have a drop coming out of new merchandise items that we're releasing onto the world, right, Tommy?
That's right.
We might as well talk about it. I guess we've got a few live listeners that are going to get the early sneak peek. They can just not tell everyone else what it's going to be then. I guess we'll just let them know, and the people that didn't listen live don't get to know. I think I have something here. So first thing is we restocked the chicken bake tee. That's been sold completely out for several months now, and we finally pulled the trigger on restocking the chicken bake tee. So you can still get your 52 grams of protein in every chicken bake, and you can now get it on a t-shirt once again.
Let everyone know that the macro shortcut out there. There's been a lot of macro discussion lately. MarcoFactor, tracking your macros, and there's no perfect macro timing, hack like the chicken bake.
No, perfect timing to bring the chicken bake tee back. We did also restock the 8-bit strongman tee. That was kind of part of this as well. We'd have been out of that in sizes 2X, 3X, and 4X for many months and had a lot of signups on that. So back in stock, all sizes extra small through 4X. So even the big boys can get in on the 8-bit strongman tee again. Then we had two new things. One of them looks a little like something we've had in the past. And here it is right here. We're bringing back the Massenomics lifting department tee on the oversized heavy tee. Tommy's got his there also. The only difference, the other one was a faded navy. This one is a faded black is what the color that they call this.
Some people might even say dark gray.
Yeah, it's kind of like a dark gray, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I really like this one. As much as I like the first one, I like this one just as much. This is now tied for my favorite Massenomics shirt along with my blue one, this dark black one.
At the top.
I've probably beat this dead horse into submission, but I do love the fit of this t-shirt, and I could wear it every day, and I wouldn't be upset if I had to wear this shirt every single day of my life.
It is an all-time classic.
Yeah, and so we have that in small through 3X. 3X is the biggest they go in there, but a lot of our usual 4X wearers, they buy this in 3X, and it still fits even maybe better than the 4X did. So last thing in the drop, though, is I don't have it.
The Crispy Boy banner.
New Crispy Boy banner. And what's the lineup on this Crispy Boy banner?
I got it right here.
Yeah.
So left to right, we got the bench heavy can. We got the Natural for Life can, Deadlifter, PBR powerlifting, and the squats can. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cans for your viewing pleasure on the new Crispy Boy banner.
5 cans, 3 of them completely new Crispy Boy cans to the Crispy Boy banner. Never before seen on a Crispy Boy banner. Kind of usually one of our favorite flag/banners.
Yeah.
Is the can ones that we put out, and here is the new one. And
It's a big boy, and people like the shape of it too.
yeah, it's a very big
long.
banner.
It's long.
Yes, it's 72 inches long, actually, 6 feet long, and I think it's 26 or 28 inches tall, something like that. It's a big daddy.
Yes, it is.
So that is the drop. Decent inventory on the shirts, but the banner, we only have so many of them, I would say. So if you want a banner, act faster, not slower. Also, the first 48 hours of this,
yeah, you gotta
48
save some
orders
of those
this
for me.
drop. Yeah, that's what. Well, I did that because there was 50. So, so I said the first 48 of these go to the first 48 orders in this drop.
We got some Strong and Silly, the Silly Goose Strong and Silly sticker. It's a custom die cut sticker that goes perfectly around the shape of the goose and the text. And I have not seen those in person yet, but in the pictures, those stickers look really good.
Yeah, it's a really cool sticker. Yeah, I like it. So you can get that for free by ordering in the first 40-some orders of this drop while supplies last. Tommy, you got anything to drink over there this week? What are you drinking? What are you sipping on?
Just some flat, still water out of my Hall of Fame cup.
Oh, well, boring beverage, exciting cup.
Exactly.
I've got exciting cup, Coors Light Twins cup.
The Twins.
Yeah, and this is like run-of-the-mill sparkling water. It's a lemon lime Waterloo.
Run of the mill. You don't know how to talk down to it like that. We're talking about one of the greats.
Let me take a sip of this. Oh, yeah. Still water. In South Carolina, we just call that water.
Yeah. Like how you're speaking for them like you're one of them.
Well, we won't spill the beans yet, but maybe eventually we'll be able to assimilate with the culture there in the Carolinas.
Maybe.
Something to stay tuned for a little Massenomics update as far as the Carolinas go.
If only.
Talked about our new drop items here. I wanted to make sure to hit on that. There was a new Jefferson deadlift world record. Did you put that in here?
I just put that in there right now.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't remember if I wrote that down, but I'm glad you mentioned that.
Yes, that is worth bringing up here. Being as we are the official record keepers and all.
It's our burden to bear, but we must bear
People
it.
would be shocked at the sheer amount of activity on that record board year round. It's like a full-time job.
2 of them, usually what happens is whenever there's a new activity on it, that drums up 1 or 2 other people that are like, hey, I'm on that list.
Comes
like,
out of the woodwork.
Yeah, so someone did come out of the woodwork. I don't know what country this guy is from, but actually updated the list today.
Oh.
The third place, someone did 880 pounds. So
really?
He's now in third, but bumped down Forsaken Warrior into 4th place and bumped 10 off the list. So now number 10 is 725. Number 1 is 963 from Deadliest Lift, Mark Rosenberg. So you have to do above 725 now in order to make it into the top 10
All right.
list.
They don't let just anyone on that leaderboard.
No, and you have to do above 963 in order to take the number 1 spot now. So that list of people is going to get pretty short.
Yes,
We're looking at close to 1,000-pound Jefferson deadlift required to be the world record holder now. But that's always exciting to see, and just it almost doesn't look real.
No,
when Mark Rosenberg deadlifts.
And I don't know, did you pay attention to the bar he's using? Wasn't he using that new American barbell deadlift bar, which is
That's true.
Almost a topic in itself worth discussing.
That's
that
true.
thing is taking deadlift bars to an extreme.
Yeah. What do you think of that bar?
I mean, I don't have a problem with people making bars like that. I think that's totally fine.
Right.
I guess this is the thing with deadlift bars, though, is probably more than any other bar, especially if you pull heavy weight, don't people want to use the bar that they typically use in a comp, So unless a bunch of comps start moving to American deadlift bars, it seems like maybe it's more of a gym novelty than...
Right.
But who knows? Maybe a bunch of people are going to start adding this bar at their comps. I don't know.
It's kind of just like in between our deadlift bar and like the elephant bar at this point.
It's
like
starting to
really
look like
crazy
that,
long
yes.
ones. Yeah.
Because even compared to a Texas deadlift bar, weren't the collars
It's
out
quite
several more inches from there.
He was several inches more than the Kabuki deadlift
Yeah.
bar, even, which is several inches more than the Texas.
Yeah. So it might be like 4 to 6 inches longer, both on both sides. It might be almost a foot.
Yeah.
The collars might be out collectively almost a foot more than the. I shouldn't say it that way. I should really say like on each side they're out like 4 inches more.
Big Anthony asked when I'll be getting one for the gym. It's not really high on the list. I'd be more inclined to get like an elephant, like something more abnormal even, because I'm like, what are we, that's why it's kind of why I've never gotten the Kabuki deadlift bar, because I'm like, well, what are we doing now? We just need like slightly longer deadlift bars.
Right.
And like, is everyone just going to continue to make one that's just like 3 inches longer than whatever else exists?
It does feel like it's sort of a dumb arms race to like at what point.
Right.
And again, I'm not like the traditionalist.
No,
like,
I'm not.
It's like, what are we chasing here? Like, what is
the more different stuff that people make, the better, I think. But just conceptually, the idea of this particular thing, I'm like, I agree. I'm like, it's a race to what? Exactly.
It's like, all right, does someone come out with one that's again 4 inches longer? We're like, this is peak deadlift bar. Like, where is? And to be also like this disclaimer, American Barbell, we have the Chewy bar. That honestly might be the best barbell like ever.
Oh, it's
made.
a really nice bar.
It is so
it's
nice.
Awesome.
It's expensive. It's very expensive, but it is so insanely nice. So I have no doubts about the quality. I'm sure it's an amazing bar with great knurling. And isn't it all stainless too?
Yes.
Maybe the deadlift
I think
bar
the
is
deadlift bar probably
sure.
is too.
But
I'm picturing a really funny meme. You'd almost need like AI to make it for you, but it's a deadlift bar like that just keeps going on and on and on. Like it's like you're just like panning on the deadlift bar and it just keeps going and going and going. Like it's like there's no limit to the length of the deadlift bar.
I wasn't even looking, Tanner. I just let our guest in. So our guest isn't at the moment, but he's got to wait like 10 minutes. So I guess he gets to see us talk about things.
Yeah. We'll wrap up our couple things and then we'll get him on. We'll get his take on the new deadlift bars.
Yeah.
As a strong man, he'll have some opinion on deadlift bars, so that'll be good.
Yes. Okay, I got something funny here, Tanner. I met a person this weekend that is part of the Massenomics history books, and it's been a long time since I've seen this person.
Okay. You have my attention.
I shouldn't even tell you to guess because maybe you can. Is it? Oh, I already forgot his first name. Is it Alan Larson?
Oh yeah, big Alan Larson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ran into him.
Competed in the 2018 Massenomics Strongman Showdown.
What did he go? What did those guys go up to on the yoke that year? Was it like 1100?
I think like 1,200 pound yoke. It was a rising bar yoke event, and we got them up. We essentially went until we had used every bit of weight that we had brought to the event, and they were at like a 1,200 pound each yoke, and it was finally just enough to tap the other guy out.
I remember at the time when those guys did that, thinking I didn't think anyone could go to a 1,200 pound yoke unless you were in World's Strongest Man. It was like the craziest thing I'd ever seen at that point. I didn't even know that was possible.
Outdoors in the dust and
in the heat.
Just definitely the average fans that we had watching there that don't even know about Strongman were really like, wow, that sounds like a lot. That's a lot of weight.
These guys are really doing it. I ran into him at that Tacos and Tequila concert I went to. I was walking through the food truck area and I hear, Tommy. And I look and he's like, you probably don't remember me. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, God. I'm like, you did the yoke, didn't you? And he goes, yeah, that's right. And so he had to remind me his name. I couldn't remember at the time, but
he's a good dude. Good dude. He must be a Florida fan then too, huh?
Well, Florida wasn't at this. This was
okay.
This was, Mike Jones, Twista.
Oh, that's right. I thought Florida was at that.
No,
too.
That was at the Sioux Empire Fair, like the week before. This is like the hip hop mecca down here.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm getting confused on that then. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how was Mike Jones and the rest of them?
I gotta say, out of everyone on the lineup, the one of them that I was probably, for sure, my top 3 was Mike Jones, people I wanted to see. And of course, they had him the very first act of the entire day at like 3:00, and I was not about to get there at 3:00. So I missed him. One of my other brothers was at the concert, and he said Mike Jones' set was like 20 minutes long. And I'm thinking, dude, Mike Jones maybe it's just the Massenomics gym bias, but he has way more than 20 minutes worth of hits.
I'm like, he's got 20 minutes of bangers easy.
I can guarantee you, I've heard Mike Jones play a single song still tipping on like repeat for an hour straight in the gym, and no one's done anything about it before. He could have just done that for a set and I would have been fine with it. So unfortunately, I did not see Mike Jones, and I was pretty disappointed by that.
Yeah.
But how many times
Okay.
has Still Tippin' played on repeat for an hour and no one said anything until about 45 minutes in?
It's not a very offensive song. Like you could hear it quite a few times, and it's not gonna like really annoy anyone. You got to hear it quite a few times before you get annoyed by that one.
It's good. It's good. So I didn't have a ton to add there, but I guess
The others were good though.
the other things at the concert, other quick takeaways would be Twista says a lot when he is rapping. There's just after like 4 or 5 Twista songs, you're like, dude, this guy has felt like he has said 9 albums worth of lyrics because he's just going so fast the entire time. Genuine. I don't know if anyone knows a Genuine song besides Pony. You know, the fact that he went before Lil Jon was crazy. And it was like the most R&B thing ever, you know, like 3 guys dressed in all white. Like it just felt like 90s R&B, like just doing their songs.
Yeah.
Whatever. That was fine. Lil Jon's set was way different than Aberdeen. In Aberdeen, it was kind of just a DJ set. Like he was just kind of like on the mic and doing DJ stuff. Where this one, he was like out front, like he was singing most of his songs. The Ying Yang Twins performed earlier in the day. They came back out for his set to do, because he had so many songs, all these guys. So yeah, he was really, really good. Actually, he was better than what he was in Aberdeen. Ying Yang Twins were actually surprisingly good. You forget how many hits they do have. They are old now, no doubt about it. Those guys look pretty old when you see them.
Do they have long dreads and stuff?
They have long dreads, and like the one had long dreads and goatee, and like they're white. You know, they're mostly white, which is a clear indicator of your age right there. Otherwise, though, it was a pretty fun day.
Yeah, that's good.
You know, $14 24-ounce beers with a 20% tip built in automatically, which is wild to me. Like, just change the price of the beers, right?
So you're saying they were like $17
Yes, they were
beers.
like the first beers I bought, don't leave a tip, and the total's 34. It's like, this says 14. How are we getting, where's the extra 6 coming from? Until you see on very fine print, it's like with an included 20% gratuity. I'm like, just change the price of the damn drinks, right? Like, why?
That's
like the beer isn't $14 anymore. The beer is now plus $2.80. You know, the beer is now like almost $17.
Yeah. One other thing, as long as we're on, it just reminded me, as long as we're on our hip hop R&B segment of the podcast, I want to mention that I keep continuing this week to ask my son where he lands on the Drake Kendrick Lamar beef. And he keeps getting mad at me. He goes, Dad, that's over.
It is over.
So I keep asking him now. I'm like, where do you land on this Kendrick Lamar Drake beef? And he is unimpressed by my lack of knowledge.
Like, let it die, man.
Yeah. And I have to say, I couldn't possibly know less about what the beef was or wasn't, or what. I just actually don't know. I know so little that I barely actually didn't even really know who Kendrick Lamar was.
Oh.
Like, I know the name, but like his music, I had to listen to a couple songs. I'd be like, oh, that guy's Kendrick Lamar. Like his is very definitive of, like, I'm like, oh, that guy. And I was like, I actually like this guy better because his sound at least is like significantly.
Yeah,
it sticks out to me in a meaningful way that I'm like, okay, yeah, this guy's doing something different than a lot of other things that I have listened to.
There was a few Kendrick songs that I always played in the gym. So whether you heard those ones or not, if I did, there's no way you couldn't not know them because I played them like every day for years on end. Yeah, he's great lyricist. Kendrick Lamar's awesome. Along those same lines, you know, one of the songs that he had in the little beef was "Not Like Us," and I don't know who. I think it was Twista played "Not Like Us," and oh man, it was like you might as well have been at a Kendrick Lamar concert. The crowd was just going crazy for it, which always surprised me. Like when someone plays someone else's song, like how does that go over? But people were fired up. It was
well received.
Yeah.
Okay. Should we can do ads and stuff later, and we could do supporting members after the guests. So do you think we should kick off the live listeners?
I'll start booting them right now.
Okay. Been sick of these live listeners anyways, harassing us this whole time, so be excited to get rid of these guys finally. It's like a monkey off of our back, kicking these live listeners off finally. But don't kick Big Lucas off.
No. We'd have to just shut this whole thing down.
Okay, so Lucas is actually in a giant traffic jam. It must be one of those Pacific Northwest traffic jams. Maybe it's like a giant tree that fell down. We'll get the details on it when he comes back on. So we are going to go over a couple other things first, but that's okay because we got a lot of things to talk about anyways. So first, where I left off on the last thing, I think, is supporting our supporting members. Big Jordy got married.
Oh, yes.
Or wait, did he get married or is he getting married? Or he might have actually got married.
Keep that timeline totally straight either.
Yeah. He, Big Jordy, who is on the OK podcast, who does, the camera work, film work for Big Grant at the Strength Co. And Jordy's also a supporting member. I think he at the time of recording this, he may already be married.
I'm not totally sure anymore.
Yeah. So congrats on the funeral if you've already had it, or congrats on the upcoming funeral if it's coming here soon. Then Big Katie got second in her strongman competition.
Well done.
So congrats to Big Katie. And then Big Ashley was this week's guest on Unpaid and Underrated. Check that out. It's our bratty little sister podcast. They put out a new episode every Tuesday where they feature one of the supporting crew members each week. So go give that a listen. It's Big Ashley this week. Get to learn a little bit more about her. I would also say, just like we mentioned earlier, now is the time to become a supporting member. If you've been on the fence, get the hell off that fence. There's fences. There's lines in the sand.
There's
a number of things going on. There's horses and asses. You can ride typically just one horse per ass. And in this case, hopefully that horse is going to be becoming a Massenomics podcast supporting member by heading over to massenomics.com/join and selecting whichever level makes most sense to you. Every level makes sense to someone. The only level that doesn't exist is the $0 level. That is not an option for anyone. Right.
We got to know you're legit here.
And this week's episode, speaking of the Strength Co., is brought to us by the Strength Co. You can check them out over at thestrength.co. They have the best 2-inch Olympic iron made in America plates that exist. They're black, E-coated, smooth, easy to grip. They look better than all the other plates is what they do. They look better and they function better. They have a tight tolerance, so they fit on your bar. There's not a lot of extra schlop when you're if you're using them for deadlift.
We do not like them extra sloppy.
No, we do not. We like our sloppy joes extra sloppy, but we do not like our plates extra sloppy. So that's why we like the Strength Co. plates. So one of the many reasons. We actually have a YouTube video coming up here in probably a week or two where we review some of our Strength Co. plates after using and abusing them for about 4 years, see how they're held up to the test of time. So make sure to check that out. And like I said, buy yourself some plates over at thestrength.co.
And this episode is also brought to you by Barefoot Shoes. You know, if you know this podcast, you know the Strength Co. makes the best damn plates. Well, Barefoot Shoes makes the best damn barefoot shoes. If you head on over there right now, they have options ranging from low tops to high tops to boots to slip-ons. And they even got some little hybrid items in the works as well. Tanner and I are recent converts to the Ursus low top black suede gum sole. The thing is a classic. Looks great, feels great, and kind of feel like an idiot for not having those sooner. We've always been high top boys in the past, but
I'm wearing mine as we speak.
Low tops, here we are. Once that colder weather hits, not far away, here in the Dakotas, the Bruin boot becomes a staple in our wardrobe as well. And Tanner, I think you wear yours like every day of your life, all day, don't you?
I do, except I've been wearing my
I'm
Ursus
saying more
low top
when the bad weather hits, though.
Yeah. Even then I had been wearing them year round, but then I just started wearing these, and I just can't hardly take these off because they're
never taken off. They're always on.
They're so comfortable. Like, they are just ridiculously comfortable.
And they're also got a couple of extra things in the works. They got a Made in America boot coming too. That obviously makes the boot made in America, but also gives it a few little extra flourishes and touches of a more classic boot. And they're working on the Ursa Day, which is like their hybrid Chukka high top shoe. A little more. It's like their high top with a little more weather resistance. So
I'm excited about that one. I feel like I'm going to be a user of that product. I think that could end up being one of my favorites.
I could see that for sure. So if you want to get some barefoot shoes for yourself, head on over to www.barefoot.store. While you're there, make sure to use code Massenomics, and you can save 10% on your next order. Code Massenomics, barefoot.store. Save you some money. Thank you, Barefoot Shoes.
And if you want to check out any of our, we talked about some discount codes and stuff that we have, but you go to massenomics.com/affiliates. That's where we have our discount codes and Barefoot Shoes, Juggernaut, Build Fast Formula, Strength Co., Swiss Link, Rep, Rep Fitness, Bells of Steel, MacroFactor. We have several affiliate links where if you click on any of those affiliate links, some of them you may have savings through a discount code. Some of them may just be a kickback towards us. But if you're going to purchase products from any of those companies, it helps us out a little bit in the process. So we would appreciate it. Okay. Which one of these things do we want to talk about then? We've got a few different things on the list here. That's what Larson was. It was Alan Larson.
Yes.
Yeah, Alan Larson. Okay, now that's making more sense to me. Okay, I'll talk about this PRX thing then for a few minutes.
Educate
So
me.
there was the big controversy.
I was well aware of the controversy.
Yeah. So what was the controversy? Kind of like how would you summarize it?
As a guy that didn't pay super close attention, so I could have some things wrong here, but I believe the official term was Jammergate. There was some controversy regarding Kaizen, DIY, Big Kyle, and some of the work that I believe he had done himself and with Vendetta and Jim Pin. There's enough brands I have a hard time keeping them all straight. I believe those are the names there. He had done some work with them to create jammer arms that, I don't know, fully articulating the right word, where you could lock them at different positions and they can move in different ways. And then PRX had come out with a product that was all encompassing, that did all of those things. And I believe, I don't know if there was some ill will that had been created there. I don't know if like patents were actually infringed on or anything like that, but I know there was some controversy around the way PRX had done it. A lot of people felt like they had ripped off Kyle, and PRX had a series of just terrible apology videos. And really was like, you couldn't have done that any worse than what they did.
Yeah.
And then I think that they decided to try and make amends, is the way I took it. And it looked like Kyle went on a trip to the Great White North of Fargo.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It looked like I listened to the Do You Even Lift Bro podcast, and that's with Big Kyle and Big Mike, who Big Mike we got to meet for the first time at Home Gym Con this year and hung out with him at that little, it was in the casino, right? Was that a casino? Yeah, that we were in a
that
casino.
was in fact
there.
a casino, yes.
Yeah. And I've been listening to their podcast, and they talked about their trip. So Kyle went on the trip to Fargo, and then also Jake from
Okay,
Garage
yes.
Gym
I thought someone
Experiment
went with him. Yeah, I thought I saw that.
Yeah, so Jake was there too. So they were just a few hop, skip, and a jump away from us. Just trying to
Right down the
talk
road.
him into popping on down in here and coming to Massenomics Gym, but it didn't fit into the schedule, I guess. But it sounds like they have met with them and that fences are being mended.
Did they bring
And
shovels and hatchets?
I think that they have buried most of the hatchets at
Okay.
least.
Okay.
I don't know if there's any hatchets still above ground or if they've all been
All right.
completely buried, but there's been fence mending, hatchet burying, and
Probably some
peacemaking.
handshaking.
yeah. I think they spit in each other's palms and then shook hands. There may have been blood oaths related to it, but I don't know if at the end of the day, I don't know if they've ultimately like decided anything. But I feel like on a personal level, they've maybe
Okay, so they didn't give you any behind the scenes stuff as to.
Well, I don't know if they even know yet what exactly.
Okay.
I think they're just like working. Like the big thing is like they're open and communicating
It's like
about
their
it now,
relationship
and, like,
status it's complicated right now.
Yeah, they changed that. It's complicated on Facebook,
From single
and
to
they
it's
also
complicated.
removed they deleted all the pictures that they used to be in together on their Facebook profile.
Yes.
So you're like, yeah, that seems doesn't seem all that complicated. It
They
seems
used
like
to
I
have a
know
lot of
exactly
photos
what's
together,
going
but
on.
not anymore.
Yeah. Doesn't seem all that complicated. Like, why is your profile picture now of you in a swimsuit?
Yeah. Your profile picture is you in your car with your sunglasses on.
By yourself.
Yeah.
What's
It's
going
like
on
the
there?
key. It's like the key is like man in his 30s. Something changes. All of a sudden, in driver's seat, selfie, sunglasses on.
Oh, that is true, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's funny because it's true. So I think they're more amicable than these
Okay.
Facebook relationships we're talking about.
Okay.
They did say, I do know that they got to go wake surfing.
I saw that
too.
actually. I was pretty jealous. It looked like they were on a banging boat there.
Yeah. So what's better, wakeboarding or wake surfing?
Well, I'll put it this way. I at this point in my life hardly ever want to go wakeboarding. And behind a big boat, I'm actually not sure I could go wakeboarding because it is so high impact, and the bigger boat just makes, instead of being the wave you ride up, instead of basically hitting a, I don't know, 1 foot ramp, you're now hitting like a 4 foot ramp every time.
Talk to me, explain it to me like I'm 5. What is the difference between wakeboarding and wake surfing?
Wakeboarding, I mean, you're going about 25 miles an hour and then you're cutting and hitting a ramp. And so you're probably going over 30. And if you know what you're doing, you're now getting like 10 feet up in the air, which involves, all right, you're going 30 plus miles an hour, 10 feet in the air, falling on your head, slamming your knees, like things you can do when you're young, but the older you get, you're like, I would die if I did that.
Okay.
And that is like wakeboarding behind good boats. Like that's what it's like. Whereas wake surfing, you're going like 8 miles an hour and you're not holding on to anything. And when you fall, you just fall into the water.
You just impact. Gently coast to a fall.
You just coast. Or if you fall, it's like you just fell. I mean, it's like jumping into the water. You're just eventually you're starting with the rope and then you just let go. That's like the key difference. Surfing.
Then?
Yeah. When you got a good boat, the wave will propel you along and
right.
you just keep going. Yeah. And it's like everyone can
like if someone's really good, how long could they continue to go for?
Oh, forever. You could just stand there.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not even really good. I could just stand there forever. Like it's not
like you just always keep going.
Yeah. It's just you start doing tricks, like you can do spins and some guys can like pop the board up and catch it. And like if you have a really nice boat, you can like go to the other side of the way. Like you can do all types of crazy stuff, but a lot of it is limited to having a boat that's like $80,000 plus.
So how different is the thing you're standing on in the two?
Oh, I mean, they're both a board, and that's about where the similarities are.
But like, how would you describe the
so
difference?
A wakeboard is a little bit more like a snowboard, just instead of being, it's just wider, but then you have your bindings. You're actually physically strapped into the bindings. Right. Whereas a wake surfboard, there's a bunch of different styles. There's more like cruiser ones that are more like a traditional surfboard, like they have big fins in the back and they're big and long and floaty. And then they have like more skim style ones where it's like a little bit more like a skateboard in style. So it just depends on what you're trying to do, what your skill level is, all of that.
Is wake surfing newer? Because when I was little, I don't remember anyone ever saying wake surfing.
I don't remember even knowing what it was until out of high school for sure.
Right.
And then I had my boat. I had a direct drive boat, which isn't ideal for wake surfing, but you could load up some ballast and get everyone sitting in the right ways. And so you could surf behind it. It just wasn't like, I knew a few people that have like newer Malibu boats, which are absolutely insane. Or like there was a guy in Aberdeen, he had like a really nice like nautique boat. And you're talking about boats that are over $100,000. And you just show up on those things and you basically just push the button and go. And it's amazing. Like it creates this huge wave. Like you can just ride it all day. Yeah, that's fun.
So your old boat, you would go wakeboarding behind
We
it.
would typically do wakeboarding. Yeah. It was.
But like, can you wakeboard slowly and cautiously? Or like, can you not even be done? Like,
no, you could, like when people were, when people were learning on my boat, like I'm not driving on like 22 miles an hour. Like there, it's like, you're probably going to max you out. Like you have to have a certain amount of speed. Otherwise you need enough force
like there's got to be a certain amount of speed.
To break you from the water. But like once you learn, like in the beginning for wakeboarding, like once you get to a very basic level of skill, you can just kind of carve back and forth and it's fun. But like a lot of things, progressing is really fun too. And so it gets like, I can do this. I need to try and like ramp off the wake a little. And then all of a sudden you start doing that and falling on your head and you're like, maybe I don't want to do that anymore. Right. Like my friend that taught me how to wakeboard, who was insanely good. I mean, he could do like 540s and flips and clear the wake, bolt wake. Like he could do so much stuff. It was like a show when this guy would go out there. And I was talking to him the other day and he has a boat and he's like, the only thing we do is slalom ski. He's like, we just slalom ski. He's like, I don't even wakeboard anymore. It's too hard on my knees. And his boat isn't really set up to surf. Because like I said, if you really want to have an ideal setup, you just need a ton of money to throw at it. So he's like, we basically just slalom ski. Like he's like, we go 3-4 times a week. And I mean, you can hurt yourself big time there too. Cause now you're going like 35 plus as your flat speed and then you're cutting. And I think people say like when you slalom ski, like if you cut good, you can like almost double your speed. So you can go really, really fast there, but it is a workout and it looks really cool too.
Yeah. Seems dangerous.
It is, but That's water sports, Tanner. You know everything about water sports now.
That's what about those blobs?
Blobs, like from heavyweights.
Yeah, like the heavyweight.
Yeah, I mean they're a thing. Yeah, they're very much a thing. I don't know it.
You know what water sport I would like? Not even actually the blob, just the really, really giant thing you just lay in the water. That's just like the it's not even really a raft because it's not
like the Maui mat, like the mats.
Yeah, the Maui mat. Yeah, like a giant Maui mat.
The people that thought of that, like basically, it's get this giant ass piece of foam, and we can charge people like $600 for it. And
are they? I wondered if they're really expensive.
Oh yeah, they're.
How do you store that thing?
You roll it up and then you just a Maui mat. I'm just really quick Google prices $500 to $700, and so many people have those things hanging off the back of their boats now.
And then that's what you do, right? You just like sit around on it.
Yeah, you just chill. Like you kind of float halfway in the water, halfway out.
Yeah.
I mean, they are nice. Like, don't get me wrong. Like if you want to hang out, it's a great way to hang out because when you're in the middle of the lake, you don't want to just be treading water for hours on end. But here
there could be sharks in there.
There could be sharks in there. Here you can throw this out and you can just chill. You can kind of hang off the end of it or sit in it when you're in like a foot or two of water. They're nice.
I'm gonna have to say I never really liked being in lakes that much.
Oh, dude. Lakes
in the water.
Lakes. Actually, that's
when I was little, I got leeches, and like it scarred me forever. That I'm like, I don't really like being in here that well. I don't want leeches on me.
If I somehow came in possession of a lot of money, I'd probably buy a lake cabin. Like that'd be pretty high on my list, I think.
You could probably get one on a shitty lake without even a lot of money.
I don't even know.
Like
if that's
not
really
a recreational lake.
Well, yeah, that's the point. Would be like a lake to where you could like do shit on it. You know, have a boat, actually have some shoreline because even that's can be hit or miss depending where you're at. So that would be. I mean, because I grew up on a place not far from a lake, and I had so many friends that had lake cabins, and so we'd spent huge chunks of summers out there, and it was so much fun.
The sweet part about that is when you're a kid and it's someone else's lake cabin.
Oh, yeah.
The shittier part is when you're an adult and you're like, oh, I spend way more time taking care.
Yeah,
like,
there's like a house, but all I do now is mow.
Yes,
I know. I know.
We haven't had time to get into the water. We're just working on that's
the thing. Like, you get to the point where if you can afford one, it's like, you got to hire someone to do all the yard stuff. So you just show up and go.
That's the key. Like if you came into a lot of money, then it's like, okay, now I don't have to actually like do all of the work.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's what people say about boats in general is boats are great when somebody it's awesome when someone else owns a boat.
I had a boat for like 5 years, so I can speak to the trials and tribulations of it because I had pretty much everything that you could have had happen with it happen.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, made a lot of memories. It was a lot of fun.
But just imagine if you could have gone out every time and it.
Oh yeah, like I said, during that time I had a few friends that
you just showed up,
had the nicest boats in the world. I'm like, I don't got to worry about these drunk assholes,
right?
And like getting the boat loaded right and having the gear. Like it's so hands off. It's the best thing ever.
Okay, well, it's no snowmobile though, is it?
Snow machine is what we call them here.
Okay. In South Carolina, we just call those mobiles.
Yeah. The mobile.
When I was little, almost everyone had a snowmobile, and people drove them around here in western northeast South Dakota in the plain, in the plain area of South Dakota, and
in eastern northeast South Dakota, people drive them to school all the time.
Right, for sure. And anymore, I don't know if it's because snowmobiles have just become so specialized and like such expensive, crazy big pieces of equipment, like intended for mountain climbing and stuff like that, but like it's so much rare that I even see people riding around on snowmobiles because it's like you just trailer it to Montana,
the Black Hills, Montana, Wyoming. I think you're right. I think that has become a thing. One, they are so insanely expensive. Like the guys that get these like mountain
like you have to
sleds.
spend $20,000 for sure on something.
You have like a car that's like not really a car. I mean, don't get me wrong. I bet going out there is the funnest thing ever, but that can't contribute. And then like just 90% of the time, there's not good snow in this part of the country ever, so you're just screwed. Our guest is ready now, Tanner.
Oh, okay. Well, should we pop him on?
Yes, let's do it.
All right. So big Lucas Hatton, we're excited to get you on. The third strongest man on planet Earth, correct?
Yeah, that still hasn't really hit me yet. That's what that means. It's just crazy show how the points fell and just kind of took it one event at a time and stayed in it.
Yeah, and so it just for anyone at the time of us recording, this will just come out a few days later. But the time of us recording, it just happened. I don't know, like half a week ago. You probably
Mhm.
how long? When did you get home?
I got home Tuesday night, and yesterday I sat in the dark watching movies, and I'm not ashamed to admit I did Uber Eats 3 times yesterday.
That's just living the
So,
life right there.
Yeah, I disconnected from the world for one day. So this podcast is actually my first re-entering into society.
Well, we'll be gentle.
We
on
hope
you
to
then.
help you assimilate.
No, and it's
A
been
lot's
good.
changed since then. AI has taken over the world. I don't know
Yeah.
if you know, but been a lot of different. So, what were your Uber Eats choices?
It was
Your
a local
victory
burrito
Uber
spot
Eats. Okay.
for the morning. We did some midday Five Guys, and then
Nice.
topped the day off with some Domino's.
That's
So
a really great variety.
yeah. That is like the
honestly.
three major food groups there: tacos, burgers, and pizza. I mean, what else can
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
not want?
it's pretty heavy.
That's a great day.
Yeah, so that's give myself one day of just zero obligations. And we're getting back to it today.
Yeah. And so do you live in Washington State, right?
I do. Yeah,
Yeah.
I live in Tacoma, and my gym is about 20 minutes south of Tacoma in Auburn.
Okay. And it's what your gym is Dungeon Strength?
Yeah,
Is that
Dungeon
right?
Strength.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So how long have you been a gym owner?
Probably end of 2021, I think.
Okay.
I've owned 2 gyms with my business partner Ryan. Thankfully, one of those sold, so we get to put 100% of our effort into Dungeon Strength. We've been in newer, bigger space since last September, and since September of last year, we doubled in size at least,
Nice.
which is just madness. I can't even believe how everything's just happened. But he's I've got great business partners. Ryan's the man behind everything. Like, I think people associate Dungeon as being just my gym, just because I'm kind of the face of it. But he's the guy that makes everything run. So
what kind of, well, like, how would you describe Dungeon Gym? Obviously, you got a bunch of strongman equipment. Is it a strongman gym, or was that not like, because I'm not all
Sure.
that familiar, so I don't.
Yeah, our mission definitely is to be the best strongman gym in the world. And I think we're kind of well on our way. We've had 9 or 10 people go pro while they've been training on a Dungeon.
Wow.
Quite a few world titles, a lot of international podiums, a lot of national championships. So I think on that front, we're well on our way. And that kind of trickles down into some of the best strongman coaching. And basically all those pros are coaching out of the gym. And we're kind of building up a base on the powerlifting side too. We have all the equipment that someone needs to be a good powerlifter, be a good weightlifter. We just had basically a weightlifting gym, Alpha Barbell, move into our space. So we just accumulated probably 50 weightlifters in the last couple of months too. It's really cool, man. It's an intersection of a lot of really motivated, educated people in strength sports, and they're just all under the same roof, and everybody's just getting better fast.
Yeah. Like you said, you had all the equipment someone would need to be a really good powerlifter. It's funny, we have all that equipment too, but we just can't be really good powerlifters. I wish the equipment would do. We're always searching for that final missing piece of equipment that's been holding us back.
Yeah, it's got to be that. That's what's
So
missing.
it's like, yep. This dumbbell rack was what we needed to get strong.
Yeah, this is what now
Yeah.
we're going to be able to get strong finally.
Yeah.
So there must be a pretty big strongman community in like your part of the world. Then obviously, like based on talking about having that many people go pro and being able to have a primarily strongman gym and have it be successful and enough participation, it must be a big community around there.
Yeah, and it wasn't until it was, right. And I think it was just because a lot of those people who are now those pros I'm talking about, if you went to a local show up here like 5-6 years ago, the people who were winning all the local show divisions are those people who are now pros, who are now world champions, who are now national champions. And that group just stayed together. In 2020, that group started Dungeon Strength. There's a lot of, the details aren't really super important, but basically Dungeon Strength was going to be the place for all those people to go train locally. And it's just kind of grown together, man. And I think because of the gym, and there's a lot of other really good gyms that are growing too in the area. The community's, doubled, tripled, quadrupled. It just every year when we host shows, it gets bigger. Every year, other gyms add shows into the schedule, and I'm like, oh no, maybe we have too many now. Their shows are full too. It's just Washington is blowing up. There's a lot of cool like strength history up here. Like we had Jesse Morunde up here. We had Grant Higa's still up here.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a cool spot, man.
Yeah. No, that's what I was kind of thinking about those guys when even asking that question. Like I know having Jesse been around there and then Grant then too. So yeah, that's cool. So going back to this last weekend, third place, strongest man on earth. Did you feel going into it like was a podium? Were you like, if I do well, a podium is where I'll land? Or what was your expectation?
I actually had a disagreement with Alec, my coach, because we did leading up to the show, we're roommates. He's my coach, he's my friend, so we're sitting around talking strongman all day long, basically every day. And he was like, best case scenario, I think you can get third. And I was like, hey man, Tom Stolman exists. I think if I take all of these risks, if I, overperform, if I do all these things on this roster, I think I can get fourth. I think fourth is the ceiling. Honestly, I could set all PRs and get eighth, just with that roster of dudes. And for me, I was just trying to match or slightly beat performances in the gym across 8 events that were, the heaviest that's ever been assembled in an 8-event order. And after day one, I didn't do that. Day one, I left a lot of points on the board. Not the best execution on deadlift as far as like scoring points. Great deadlift PRs, but not scoring points. Left some points on the board on the press medley, just not being in good enough shape to do it. Set a PR on the throw, but still got 13th, and then did an okay performance on the stone, but just with how the points fell, it ended up being one of the most important events of the show because everyone zeroed the damn thing. So after day one, I was sitting in 8th, and I'm like, okay, best case we can do is have a decent day 2 and maybe end up 6th to 8th. And I could not have been more wrong on how day 2 would fall, man.
Yeah. Actually, talking about the deadlift, you said, you hit some PRs. I watched your video, so I kind of saw how it went, but I don't know if Tommy knows the details on that. But so you got your opening deadlift, and then could you explain what happened on your other lifts?
Give us the weight on the opener too.
Yeah. So I went 856 on my opener. Technically, my PR is 860, but we just never max. So I knew that was nowhere close to what my max was. We planned on going 886 on number 2, and I smoked it. It was fast. I didn't have to hitch, didn't have to do any of that stuff. But in the rules meeting, we'd agreed. Basically, they were trying to make a standard to say, okay, we're using standard straps, and they have to stay tight, right? So you can use standard straps and still kind of cheat the range of motion if you let the hand open. So the rule that we'd all agreed on was that the thumb had to stay in solid contact with the index during the pull. Well, I have these, big hands, but they're very chubby hands. So like when I am locked down as tight as I can go on my straps, I am barely touching. So as much as I smoked that 886, I pulled it. Everyone saw Ed Cohen give the thumbs up, which as the side judge, he wasn't. This thumbs up does not mean necessarily good lift. It means knees, hips, shoulders, all of the lockout standards are hit. And then the front judge will give the down command. But when Ed Cohen did this, he had also seen that my hand was open, right? So by that standard, I was going to get a no lift. But if he was to sit there and not give any kind of indication based on this thumb, right? I'd just sit there and never get a down command, right? I'd hold it forever because you can't retroactively put it back on. So Ed did the right thing. Doing this to say the lockout standard was good. I got the front down, and then so they ended up taking the lift because of that. By the letter of the rules, I didn't get the lift. I did smoke it at any other contest in the world. I pulled 886.
That is a really tricky rule.
It is, and I don't know if I agree.
I don't like that at all because that is really hard to. I mean, It's weird
Tough.
because you talk about powerlifting. It's like it's not a relevant rule because there's no straps. So
Okay, and to be
it
clear
doesn't
here,
ma-
are you saying you had figure eights or you had just the regular straps?
I had regular straps.
You couldn't
so
wear
we weren't
figure
allowed to do
eights.
figure eights.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But you can still
Right.
get a little extra if you set up your straps right.
To me, that's like if you're saying you're allowed to use this piece of equipment, it's tricky then for me to be like, but you need to use it exactly this way.
See, I agree with that. And the same thing, it's like if you're going to be that, then it's like, well, at what point do you say, well, we're not doing hitching anymore? And
Sure.
like that's
And
the whole thing.
it was interesting too because like we were allowed to hitch, we were allowed to ramp, but another like weird little thing with strongest man on earth is they also said in the rules we weren't allowed to have downward motion on the bar or slack in our arms. So that that like Derek Poundstone
Right, where
take
they
a seat, bend the arms
actually
and
said
go.
it. Yeah.
That wasn't allowed in the contest. And I think the line of thinking that Brian's getting at was he wants not necessarily to match the norms of the sport. He kind of wants to set a different standard of like what a strongman deadlift is. He'd rather be more stringent in his show than the other shows, which I get what he's getting at. I think it's kind of it's a mixed bag. It's like, is it too far gone? Is it like, what is the norm in strongman?
Yeah.
Like,
the execution on that exact thing, what you got red lighted for,
it's tough.
is
I mean, Singleton lost his
yeah.
third deadlift like that too. They were consistent about it.
Right.
But on his second one, that he pulled it right after I could just lost my lift. I'm watching it in the back, and his hand is like this when he pulls his second one, and he still gets the lift. But his hand anatomy is so different that his hand's like this, and you can still see his thumb is touching.
Right.
It's just different hand anatomy, but we all have different anatomy that affects every event. So I can't sit here and whine about that. I have very favorable anatomy for other events, right? It's how it goes. I think it's just based on conversations with Brian after the show. I mean, he's immediately contemplating, how do we change it? How do we make it better?
Right.
I think iteration 1, it's decent.
Yeah.
It'll get better for year 2. I've so much respect and faith after just the conversation I had this weekend. Brian's the man. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't a perfect show, but damn it, he really, really wants it to be. And I think it's going to just keep getting better.
Yeah, I'm sure you're right. There's no doubt about that. Day 2, then 4 more events, and you won the dumbbell event, right? You were the only one of 3 people to win an event of the weekend, right?
Yeah. It's a Thor won 5 and still somehow got second.
That's kind of crazy. Like second by a pretty wide margin after winning over half of the events too. Yeah, the overhead press thing kind of is killing him right now. But
yeah, it is. But he's still kind of in a league of his own. He didn't have to do the last event to beat me. So Hooper and Thor definitely ran away and basically had their own contest. But yeah, day 2 was awesome. The squat ended up second. The arm over arm, I thought that'd be a rough event for me. Like in the past, so my amateur nationals year that I went pro, I was leading by over 20 points, and arm over arm made me get second in the show. I'm pretty bad at arm over arm, but ended up mid pack at strongest man on earth and arm over arm. So like, still getting better. Like that was a huge like mental PR for me. Just I've been terrified of that event. It's ruined shows for me before. It's the reason I lost the amateur Arnold too. So getting better arm over arm. Came into the dumbbell it was interesting. Right before the dumbbell, I saw the scoreboard and I'm like, okay, I'm sitting in like 6th or 7th and everyone ahead of me, I'm like, I can beat them in dumbbell. And I know I'm good at power stairs. So I'm like, there's this weird shot where I'm like, oh shit, Stoltman just zeroed 2 events. Like I might get third. And then I go out on dumbbell and finish the dumbbell and everyone else kind of shanked it. And I'm like, oh damn it, I can get third. And it came down to on the power stairs, basically a 3-way race of the 3 slowest dudes at the show. Me, Trey, and Andrade. The girth boys racing for third. Trey went out first on that. Set a big PR compared to any power stair performance he's had before. basically finished the thing. Just a little minute difference of him not finishing. And then I got to go head to head with Andrade, and rest is history. It's crazy,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. And so your third place, you finished there. Wasn't the last show you did you not also finish third place podium also there behind Thor and Hooper, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was Arnold UK.
Yeah.
I had one show in between up at North
Okay.
America Strongest.
Okay.
But yeah, that was the second time this year I've shared that same exact podium with those two guys.
That's
It's
pretty good company.
yeah.
It
Like-
is.
Like if you're sticking on the podium with those guys, like you get to show up there on multiple occasions. That's that says something. Also, it says something that now you've done it twice in not that many months.
And,
you know?
and I think there was like a little chatter too about the Arnold UK, and it is somewhat fair. A lot of the guys that did the Arnold UK just treated it as like a secondary show to the Arnold Ohio. So I heard a few comments like, okay, well, this is the time where you're going to go against these guys properly peaked. You caught them when they were beat up after Arnold Ohio.
Right.
Somewhat fair criticism. Well, this time everybody was peaked and it was the same. So, I mean, a lot of strange things happen with the points. And I think it's just the nature of the show Brian's trying to put on. It's so heavy that he doesn't care that people zero, right? Like, I think a lot of promoters see zeros and they're like, oh, we need to overcorrect, make it lighter so the crowd sees reps. I'm like, he doesn't care. He's like, we need to see who's the strongest. And if you're going to zero the event, you're not the strongest.
Right.
Like, it shouldn't be made lighter at this, strongest man on earth.
Right. The squat event, which you did well, you got second, and you're a really good squatter. You knew that was going to be a good event for you, so not surprising. There was controversy about the squat event, of course, though. So any take on Hooper won first place, and there's certainly, I wasn't there, so you see something in person, maybe it looks different, but there was pictures, videos on the internet. His squat did not look like he was maybe having to go as deep as some other people. What I guess I don't know what my question. What are your thoughts generally on that? You probably thought about it.
I at the show, during the show, I was seeing the squats happen in real time. It's like, oh, dude, those are high. But I think most of us, even on testing day, I would see the standard that we would be set to. And I was like, okay, compared to a powerlifting squat, that might be a little high. Because the standard they did in the rules was that we had to get a solid 90-degree on the knee joint, which I don't know if I would have done it that way. I had a conversation with Brian after the show, and I would have said maybe some kind of like on testing day, doing like some kind of laser level with the femur, which there's a little bit of minutia there because like everyone's hip joint is big, right? And you really need to get in there and like feel someone's hip, feel the knee. That would have probably set everyone a touch deeper. But a really good point that Brian brought up that I hadn't thought about is once we've set that standard in the rules, okay, and at that time we were all okay with it, right? We had all reached a squat that we had, many pictures to prove, okay, we're pretty close to parallel or to the standard that we'd set in the rules. Once the whistle blows on the event, it's not a squat anymore. It's not a squat event. It's can I move this apparatus from point A to point B, right? As long as the feet stay where they're supposed to go and the bar position stays the standard that we started, somebody could technically straight up good morning that thing with straight legs. They can.
You could.
There's no depth standard other than the apparatus hitting the bottom.
Your knees wouldn't technically have to bend if you were strong enough to do a full good morning with it. Right.
And when you're under 800 pounds and the pattern slightly changes compared to when we were under 280 in the rules, that's not a surprise, right? So I think, there could have been some more testing done. We might have set a different standard if we were to do it again. But at the end of the day, on an apparatus, there's no standard that says we must hit powerlifting depth. And maybe he does adjust the rules in some way so that next time we do it, we got to hit powerlifting depth. But based on the standards this time, Hooper didn't cheat.
Right.
He didn't. His pattern slightly changed when he got under huge load, and he explained it himself. And I'm with it. All the guys that zeroed, the reason I think they zeroed is they're bad at holding positions. If you can keep your hips underneath you and just keep applying force, it's slightly easier than a normal barbell squat. But I see a lot of the guys that zeroed when they train, when they come out of the hole, they have this little, oh, my shoulders just ticked forward.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that little tick forward and that apparatus flattens you. I'm like, if you're not a technical squatter, you will zero that event.
That makes a lot of sense. So that squat event, it did bring up interesting discussion just yesterday in our Massenomics Discord, even where really someone brought up a point, one of the strongman competitors in there, and I'm like, I've never thought about this, but that was really interesting. So I'd like to get your take on it.
Sure.
So how tall are you?
I am 6 foot.
6 foot. So well, in the field of the competitors, where were you in height wise? Like
if we're going off of the height that Bobby Thompson says he is, I'm the shortest. I give him a hard time about that. Bobby's 6'1".
Yeah.
If Bobby's 6'1", I'm 6'1".
So okay, so let's say this. Just for the sake of this, we'll say you're the shortest competitor there. When you guys did the Atlas Stone event, you're the shortest event, but everyone lifts over the exact same height crossbar, correct?
Yes.
Like you don't walk up and they don't test and say, okay, Lucas is 6 foot tall. Here's where the stone stands when his arms are at 90 degrees parallel. Let's set his height for his crossbar at 42 inches. Here's where Thor's is at. His height is 60 inches when his arms are up, completely parallel to the ground at 90 degrees angle to his upper torso. So why couldn't the squat? I mean, and that's just one event. I'm just talking about short people on a loading event, but you could look at other events in the same way in strongman. We're not catering to the different body styles. We're just saying this is the pin height that you have to touch. If you're more aptly built for that, that's your advantage because that's your build of being 6 foot tall instead of being 6'9". So like you may have an advantage, an inherent advantage, just like Thor has an advantage on picking up an Atlas stone and putting it over a crossbar.
Sure. And I think even with what we did, I still already have that advantage.
Right.
Coming down to angles and stuff, I mean, from a purely, I could like, okay, I see where you're going, but us being 9 inches different in height.
Right. It would make it look so drastically different.
Yeah, like Thor's going to have to contort into some crazy positions to even hit where I would be in the highest squat on earth.
Right. Right. Like it maybe practically speaking, it couldn't even actually make any sense at this event. But that brings me to the point that sometimes I think sometimes what tries to be my point was I like the idea of testing the squat because the squat is a great test of strength.
Yes.
But the application of it in strongman, a lot of times, like it doesn't result in a great event. Like people are like, yes, the most controversial event, the squat. When it was at the Arnold and they did the thing 2 years ago and a couple people were getting hurt and I mean, it didn't look good. I'm like, that was like the worst event of that competition too. I'm just like, it just didn't look good. And
you know what? For reps, it's hard. And on an apparatus, it's hard because there's always going to be a way to game it. And any way that strongman has decided that, okay, this is how we test squat, we go to some kind of box or some kind of apparatus sitting at the bottom. It then becomes, we're just going A to B. It doesn't really matter how it happens, which, yeah, okay, I get that. But then the powerlifting fans out there are going to be like, those are high squats, right?
Right.
I would rather see a powerlifting style 3 judges for max, take our suits away. My little personal bias, take our wraps away too, but just make it a squat. Powerlifting's been doing it for 50 years. Occasionally you will get a questionable call, but get some like IPF judges, not some like monolift fed judges.
Yep.
And let's do some squats, right? Like I mean, we did it in we host the Rainier Classic and we did a max squat with 3 powerlifting judges. And those guys had to bury their squats. And if they didn't, they got zeros. I think that'd be a great thing that we've literally never seen with strongman. I didn't care about the Arnold squat because it was, there's 5 spotters around this giant monolith.
You can't even see what's going on.
I can't see a damn thing, right?
Like
it had potential to be cool, but in practice, I think strongman just put a lot of nonsense around it. And that's why strongman squatting is kind of viewed as annoying. But God, I want to see it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. I mean, Brian had another way you could do reps. I talked to Brian about this. He's got his giant apparatus, but the other way you could do reps with very little contention set up like a combo rack type thing, have a band set to the hip depth that they need to hit, just lightly touch the band with the squat. It's not some giant cool looking apparatus,
Right.
but you set the bands appropriately. You have literally no controversy. Did he touch the band or not?
Right.
Um,
Right.
So I think there's ways to do it, and this was a cool attempt. I think that apparatus is we're going to see it again, and I think Brian's just going to tweak the rules a little bit.
Yep. No, that makes sense. It's the squat is a tricky thing in strongman though, undoubtedly. Like it just kind of ends up being a little bit tricky sometimes. But I really like hearing your take on that though too. That's interesting as someone that did it and did well in it, and that and you are a good squatter, so you're always going to be like, I mean, I would guess your opinion's going to be like, yeah, let's test some sort of squat.
Yeah, let's please squat, Lucas.
Yeah, right. Have you competed at World's Strongest Man?
No.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
So, I mean, at this point, are you a lock to be invited to World's Strongest Man in this next year? Or do you have to do something to get invited to World's Strongest Man?
I don't know.
Okay, you don't even know. Yeah, right.
No, I don't.
Right.
So after
it's kind of crazy.
This last year for Worlds, I came off of the Arnold Ohio podium or the Arnold UK podium, and I was like, okay, maybe I get invited to Worlds, but you know, I hadn't heard anything. And we host the Rainier Classic. We moved it to May this year. A lot of reasons behind that. But when we booked the venue at that point, months before, I was like, there's no way I get invited to Worlds this year. Well, we double booked the same weekend as Worlds. So in the future, we're never going to do that.
Right.
So 12 days out from the show, I get a message from Darren Sadler, and he's like, hey, do you want to be an alternate for the show? And I was like, hey man, I have 100+ people driving in or flying in for my 2-day contest. And it's not just a local show. Like it's a pro-am that has international invites that come out of it. And these people booked hotels and flights and all kinds of things. And I'm the main logistics person for the show. On the 12 days notice for an alternate spot, I cannot get myself replaced. This is a huge obligation. I'm a professional outside of competing in strongman. And he responded, okay, great. Completely understand. Can't wait to see you earn your spot at OSG this year.
So he's saying that you need
I have to
compete
go to
at
OSG.
Yeah,
Yes.
right. Okay.
Yeah. I'm not going to
But
do
at this
that.
point, have you not already earned your spot? Like
I hope so. And
like,
you know, like, and I in some sense, I do respect that they're holding that line of like, if you haven't done XYZ, OSG is the path. And it's super important to have that path, like a direct, doesn't matter who you are. If you can get yourself to OSG and you can impress, you can find your way to Giants or to Worlds, and that needs to exist. And as many of those direct invite opportunities to the next level as there are, those need to be maintained, and they're super important. Because without them, the system is much worse than it is now. But at this point, I don't feel like I should need to do OSG, and I'm not going to do OSG. I will not do it.
There's also like say 4 premier competitions or whatever the number you want to say, and if you're getting the podium at those competitions,
yes,
to me that's should be an automatic qualifier.
Yes,
you know, and I know they're not related. The World's Strongest Man doesn't care about strongest men on earth per se. You know, it's not. You know, sort of a competitor.
Doesn't
even
a resume mean something?
Right.
And I know there's some conflict between promoters that have 2 different trademarks that mean the same thing.
What's more prestigious to you? If try to not consider what each competition actually means, but just the name. If someone was to call you the 3rd strongest man on earth or the 3rd strongest man in the world, which is a better title?
3rd strongest man on earth. Yeah. I'm very biased in this argument. Prior to even doing it, I think if I had to put my goals of the sport, my number 1 at this point is to win strongest man on earth.
Okay.
Like that is the number 1 contest I want to win. Because I think it is that's the world title.
Right.
You're
saying if you win that, you are the strongest man on earth. You know, it's like that's the best test of finding out who the strongest man is.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the criticism that people say like, oh, Worlds is light, Worlds is a TV show, Worlds is whatever. Worlds is still it's still a world title. Like it's still and saying Worlds is light is hilarious. Like they did 800 for
light-
reps on deadlift in the
Yeah,
final.
light
Yeah, 12
compared to what? Let's be realistic.
Yeah.
It's light for a few people in the world. You know,
Sure.
for most people, this is not light.
Yeah, like 12 or 13 events in, they're doing 800 for reps on deadlift. It's like, dude, Worlds isn't light. Worlds isn't easy. World, I mean, I think it's hard for different reasons. There are some annoying things with it being a TV show. And the format doesn't favor a lot of really good strongman skill sets, which I think turns a lot of people off. But you know what? I think, sorry, I'm going to sneeze. It's going to be bad. I think we're good. But you know, when I see the top 10 in the final every year, I think, okay, that's pretty damn close to the top 10 in the world. So I think it is still a great test of who's the best in the world.
Yeah.
And Tom Stoltman winning 3 times in a row, like Tom Stoltman's that dude right now.
Yeah,
And so is Hooper. Like it's a great contest. I think Strongest Man on Earth is the world title to me, but there's still some nostalgia and all that kind of stuff with World's Strongest Man. If I do want to go, I do want to win it. I do think it's a great contest. I think there's some great people involved putting it on, but like at this point, if I didn't get invited, I understand. I think I should get invited.
Right. I would say so at this point. Yeah. I know I've seen you say that you enjoy watching old World's Strongest Man competitions. I've seen quite a few of them. I know Tommy has also. We're from South Dakota, the Mount Rushmore state. So we play this little game, Mount Rushmore game, sometimes where we want to hear your top 4. So I'm wondering what your top 4, your Mount Rushmore of obscure World's Strongest Man events would be.
Ooh.
What you would put on the Mount Rushmore of
of obscure World's Strongest Man events.
Yeah.
The wind turbine with the shield.
I don't think I know that one.
No, have you not seen that?
I don't think so.
They had this big plexiglass shield where they had to move. Then they had a football helmet
Through
on,
wind. Yeah.
and they had a wind tunnel basically set up, and they had to approach.
No, I've
the
never.
fan.
It looked like semi-American Gladiators 1980s. It looked part American Gladiators or something.
Okay.
Wow, okay, I'll have to do
Obscure
some
events.
research on that.
That's a good one. That's very obscure. That's a good one.
I would say I honestly really enjoy it just because it looks funny. Is the hanging over the pool
Oh yeah.
off a bar, just a bunch of fat dudes hanging there and dying.
Splashing into the water. That's a good one. I wish they would bring that back just for it's just ridiculous and it's not a great test of things, but it would be hilarious to watch everyone do it now. Like in 2024, I want to see all you guys have to do that now.
I will say that was there was a brief discussion at the Shaw's house after the show about like just cool events that could be done.
Yeah.
And that got brought up and Brian was not enthused. So
I guess when you're 440 pounds, you're probably not in favor of that event either.
No, yeah, we will not see a hangover a pool at the Strongest Man on Earth. Unfortunately. Last 2.
That's a good choice also though, yes.
Yes. The wrecking ball hold, because that's the coolest event in the world.
Yeah.
No, I'm not. No, let's see. I really actually, it's entertaining, but it should never come back. I enjoy Murder Ball, with the big planet, and they had to push each other out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think combat events should be out of the sport.
Like sumo was one I was thinking of, where
Yes.
the old ones where Kaz have done the sumo, but that ball, that one with the ball was actually even better than the sumo wrestling. So that's a good point.
And then let's see. Honestly, I'd like to see it again. This is a genuine serious one. I want to see more vehicle flips because I think it's
I
kinda
was
cool.
glad. I was hoping you were going to say the car flip as one of them because
Yes.
that's maybe the least obscure of those events, but kind of the most iconic of those too.
Yeah, and it's it got brought up. It got brought up. So I don't know. I think it'd be a cool one to see with some of the best guys in the world. It would definitely have to be some vehicles with like roll cages because it seems like every time they put it on, the shape of the car changes throughout the contest.
Yeah. Also, was there quite a few injuries? Was that part of it too? That like a lot of people were getting hurt and like some people even got like semi-trapped under the car. Or...
Yeah, that event is the reason that you haven't seen Wes Claiborne compete recently.
Okay.
Like, he went over some show in Russia and took a bad step and just destroyed his foot. Like
Yeah.
that event has taken some people out.
As a spectator, it's a great sport.
Oh,
It's a
it
great
is.
one to watch,
Yeah,
though.
no, and I want to try it.
Yeah.
I think it'd
And
be
the
cool.
people that did that well, like in those old ones, when you see them going, when they had like the momentum working in their favor, they're like just rolling through that thing, and then they
Hustling.
sprint to the end. It's like, damn, they got it down.
No, I could see like 3 vehicles in a row head to head in the Strongest Man on Earth arena. It could be
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah.
Could be sweet.
I could see that for sure. You've kind of got, we're actually, before you were on, we were talking with your cameraman, or I don't know what the title is, but the guy that is behind the camera when you're out doing stuff, and you're been putting out a lot more on YouTube lately. How's that going? I mean, what's the goal and how's it going?
You know, it's going good, man. We are gonna make like, I don't know what, like $150 this month.
Hey,
Yeah.
we know the
Rolling
feeling.
in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. After probably investing
Minimal
couple
amount of
thousand.
time.
Yep.
Yeah, tons of time, couple $1,000.
Yeah.
I fly him with me at every show.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's not gonna break even for a real long time.
It has to start
but
somewhere though. Also, if that's
yeah,
what
it
you
has
want
to
do
start
it to.
somewhere, and it's genuinely fun. There's not enough people just like putting out news about the sport and like what's happening in the back. And I think there's a slippery slope that occurs, and maybe someday I'll be guilty of it too. But like the guys who really, really start to make money on YouTube, they at some point just become a YouTuber in
Yeah.
the most annoying sense possible. And the strongman nerds still want to see strongman nerd stuff. Like they don't want to see
Right.
some news story or like the 10 foods you should be eating. Like I don't care, dude. I get why they do it, and it makes them money and it's fun, and they're probably honestly having a good time doing that too. But for me, I'm like, I want to show technique. I want to show what's going on behind the scenes. I want to show my training, and it's just fun. And down the road, like I do want this to be my job beyond competing, and maybe 5 years down the road, YouTube helps me do that. And I hope I don't lose what we're doing right now as it grows. But sometimes you got to make a few changes to actually make a little bit of money. So we'll
Right.
see what it ends up being.
Tommy, what was the comment you made earlier too, just about in strongman in general? It seemed like all the ones that kind of stick around the
Yeah. Well,
like,
we've talked about it. It's, you can look at the group of strongmen at any competition. It's like, there's no doubt all of these guys have talent across the board, but what really starts to set some of the names apart are the guys that have put the effort in to market themselves. And the prime way to market yourselves right now is through YouTube and Instagram. And especially YouTube, if you can cross over on YouTube, look at the guys that have, I mean, they're living a whole different life than, the other competitors that you're with.
Yeah. And all of those YouTube accounts started pretty close to where mine's at, where we're excited to have like 3,000 followers,
Right.
like that's, a lot of accounts never even reach that point. So like we're doing good. Braden is the man behind the camera, the one
Braden,
doing all the edits. I am not responsible for any of that quality. And no, it's been good, man.
Yeah, it looks really good. I actually enjoyed watching
Yeah,
it.
they look great.
watching it
And
get
also,
ready
I mean,
for
you can see you have momentum on it too, though. Like some of your most recent videos are some of your better performing ones. And as guys that do YouTube, it's always good to see like newer ones doing well,
Yeah, there's hope.
Also, getting third at Strongest Man on Earth doesn't hurt.
No, it
that.
doesn't.
And I mean, just to be fair, from our point of view, I had heard your name, seen your stuff a little bit before, but then you get third at the Strongest Man on Earth, and I'm like, oh, he also got third at the Arnold UK. I'm like, oh, this is somebody that we need to get on our podcast, and that's so performance. It kind of feeds back and forth to each other both directions too, because then it's like, being a personality is one thing. You could be Pa O'Dwyer, but also like finishing top is
Sure.
a big deal too. Like that certainly doesn't hurt.
No, it does not. Yeah, and I didn't realize it until this show, but like, because somebody actually asked me basically the same question about World's Strongest Man, after the Strongest Man on Earth podium, and they're like, you think the way they phrased it is like, do you think you've beat enough World's Strongest Man guys to get invited to Worlds? I was like, yeah, I think there's 30. There's 30, and
30.
I think we're at like 22 of the guys who were invited this last year.
So yeah, it feels like
yeah,
yes,
I think
you
it's I
probably
think it's okay. I think we have enough competitive momentum at this point that hopefully opportunities of all kinds start coming.
yeah. You've also been doing well enough that I saw the first meme made of you in our Massenomics Discord this weekend, where it was Lucas hat on, where it was a picture of you with a Massenomics hat, and Lucas hat off, where it was you without a hat. So I got a really good laugh out of that when I saw it.
Yeah, somebody sent that to Alec like during the show, and like we're usually like off our phones and stuff, and in the back he's just like, dude, somebody just sent me this, and he shows it to me. I think it was before, I don't remember what event it was for. I was like, dude, this is so stupid. The internet's awesome.
Yeah,
That was a good one.
was that at least ours? Was that big, one of the Davids, wasn't it? That
I think
made
so,
that
yeah.
time.
Yeah.
That was like Lucas hat off, Lucas hat on.
And probably the best or worst thing to come out of this weekend is Matt Eisman trying to figure out what to call me. And he's pushing that large legs thing. I was like, let's not do that. Let's not just run with that forever, please.
Your large legs now, that's your thing.
Yeah. Like, dude, at least I'm not like a mythical creature or something like everybody else, but you know.
Yeah.
That is the real rite of passage, though, is getting that nickname. You know, you got to have
getting
that.
a silly nickname. Like, I'd rather just not have a shtick and just like win things. Like it's just in my
you're
eyes,
gonna need a shtick.
Yeah.
dude. I don't know. In my eyes, it's like yes, strongman is a show,
Right.
and that is like one of the coolest things. But I think it's one of the big things that holds us back. That it's not just a sport. Like it's
Right.
just a sport, and when it's
Right.
viewed as a sport, not a show, a few things change. But you can still sell tickets to sports. You know,
Well,
sports have been
people
doing
do
that
it.
for a long time. You know, I get it. I get what he's getting at. And Eisman's an awesome dude. He always gives me a hard time in the back. But I hope the large legs thing does not stick.
No, the thing is, you don't.
We're gonna
get to
title
pick
this
the shtick.
episode,
The shtick
yeah.
picks you. Is
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
the way it goes.
On some of the content you made, you have this thing, recurring thing I saw where it's who the F is that guy,
Mhm.
where you feature like maybe it's like, I think that concept is who the F is this guy, maybe borderline professional strongman or someone that maybe you
Yeah.
haven't heard of yet that you're should hear about or you're probably going to hear about soon. Is that kind of what that is?
Mhm.
So do you
Yeah,
have if you had a who the F is that guy, do you have one like off the top of your head, like just who is a good example of who the F is that guy that you might feature on that?
Yeah, the next person, I haven't talked to him about it yet. We kind of have put a couple of those regular shows on hold with the last few weeks of shop prep, but I want to get back on the regular schedule. The next guy I want to talk to is Bryce Johnson.
Okay.
He ended up 4th at North America's Strongest, beating like 6 guys that have been to Worlds, and nobody knows who the hell Bryce Johnson is. And
Who
they
the F
should.
is that guy?
Who the F is Bryce Johnson?
Yeah.
Because he even had 1 or 2 bad events and was barely off the podium at North America's. That dude's gonna be good. He already is good, and nobody knows who he is. The guy who keeps winning Australia's Strongest Man, I'm spacing on his name. And then there's that guy who from Africa that's just been wrecking house at SEL recently. I'd say those are the 3 best up and comers that nobody knows. I mean, at least in the States, everyone knows Josh Spurgeon and Nick Gardione, but like those are 2 other guys that are just right there. They're going to be on big rosters next year.
All right, cool.
So-
I like that concept though. That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Well, and what's funny is there's a couple memes when I was on the podium. I saw one person make a meme where it was the podium photo and they put the overlay from my YouTube video. It's like, who the fuck is Lucas Hatton?
Yeah. Who the F is this guy? Yeah.
Who the F is this guy? Like,
Yeah. That's funny. Tommy, what do you think about overrated, underrated?
Let's do it.
Should we jump in? Okay. We've got this game we play with each guest called Overrated, Underrated, and we have a hand-picked set of Lucas Hatton topics that are just for you. You have
Okay.
your druthers to elaborate as much or as little on each one as you would like, but you just have to remember that you cannot ride the line. You have to
Okay,
definitively decide.
I have to make a
Yeah.
stand.
And
Okay.
even if it pains you to do so, you have to make a stand. And this is usually all of these are very political and religious. This
Sure.
is like we
Sure.
joked around up until this moment, and now we're going to get where it's
Yes.
really uncomfortable. And where nobody...
Visual depictions of Allah. Underrated.
So overrated or underrated rock climbing?
Underrated. Underrated.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's why my grip's gotten better, but it is really fun, and I'm going to keep doing it. And I like the looks that I get at the rock climbing gym.
Yeah, you got to be the biggest guy at the rock climbing gym when you're doing that.
I might be the biggest person to come in the door at the rock climbing gym.
Yeah.
I am scared to do any of the walls where we actually have to like harness up and get be belayed. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
But are you kind of decent at it though?
I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm like mid-level boulder walls I'm good with. I don't remember the rating system off the top of my head, but like V2, maybe I think I
Okay.
finished maybe one V3.
Okay.
So
We don't know
I'm
what that
beating-
means, but we'll say you're like black diamond, or we
Sounds
can make
intense.
up our
Yeah,
own
I'm
rating
beating the
scales.
small
Yeah.
children.
Right.
The little kids who are fresh to the wall. I'm
Yeah.
kicking their ass.
So how long have you been rock climbing?
Off and on for quite a few years, but during the UK prep, we really got back after it. So like wintertime, we go probably once a week.
Okay. Slight divergent question that I meant to ask earlier. You went to Pacific Lutheran University in Parkland, Washington. You were a finance major, correct?
Yes.
Also a finance major here, so stay strong,
Yeah,
brother.
Using the hell out of that.
Yeah. I had looked up Pacific Lutheran University, and it said it was a largely Lutheran Norwegian
Mhm.
based school that started. Are you Norwegian by like?
I honestly don't know.
Okay. Okay.
No, not that anything like we're proud
It's
of.
not
or
like
know
your
about.
family is like, yes, we are very Norwegian.
No,
it's not like that. Okay.
We're the kind of white person that's been here long enough that we don't really know where we're from before that.
Like most of us, yes.
Yeah.
Just obscure American white person. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Because there is kind of like in our little corner of the world, there is a pretty strong Norwegian
Mhm.
group like that kind of. So I just wondered if it was also like that there, maybe.
I mean, there's a ton of Norwegian students. Like they have an exchange program, but all of them seem to be like 6'1", long limb, short torso.
Okay.
And I'm not that. So
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. Off of that, then, overrated or underrated Lizzo?
overrated.
Yeah.
Overrated. Yeah, that's a 100% of my Instagram growth is from a Lizzo meme, not from expedited success. But yeah, yeah, you can look it up. It has like 7 million views.
Okay. So you're not a huge Lizzo fan listener then yourself.
I'm not a listener. I respect the game.
Yeah.
She's out there doing her thing and doing it hard.
Yeah.
And you got to respect that.
That's fair. Okay. Overrated, underrated Winnipeg, Canada. We saw you were in Winnipeg here not too long ago. And just
Winnipeg,
kind of straight
Canada.
north of us. Yeah.
I think it's overrated and it's rated low. I love the gym up there. I love the people up there. Would not vacation in Winnipeg, Canada.
That's fair. I have vacationed in Winnipeg. Well, I mean, not really in Winnipeg, but like
Sure.
in rural Canada, Winnipeg area.
It's an incredible place. It's like you're somehow in rural middle America, but you're also somehow in the hood.
And also not in America too, though.
No,
Right,
I know, but
right.
it's like just north of North Dakota.
Yeah.
You're
Right.
like, okay, I've seen this town before, but then
it's just a
also
little
the
different
hood
here.
somehow. Yeah, like I'm in danger for some reason.
Do you ever
Okay,
feel
that's-
though, like the fact that you live in Washington, that kind of everywhere is sort of a downgrade visually when you leave?
I don't know, man. We just had this conversation about like Denver and Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
As far as like the roads and things being clean and like seeming like the government gives a damn, like Colorado in a lot of senses is kicking Washington's ass. But as far as like visually, as far as like nature and like
Yeah.
all the other things that come along with Washington, I think it's there's no beating the Northwest in a lot of those categories. But like you go to like Washington cities and you're like, okay, there's a lot to improve on here.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Last one. This one's worth all the marbles. Everything comes down to this one. So overrated or underrated? Keeping in mind we're got a strong man in our presence. Overrated and underrated. Sumo deadlifts.
Ooh. Underrated.
Underrated.
If I was a power lifter again, I would probably sumo deadlift. I'm weirdly good at it.
That's what that's what I picked up on, is that you're actually pretty good at sumo deadlifting.
Yeah, and well, is it cheating? Just depending on how you were born, it's cheating, but that's the way every lift is.
Right.
Like I was born to squat. It's kind of cheating for me.
Right.
You know, I'm gonna beat someone who's 6'8" with the long ass femurs.
Right.
You know, right? It's every lift is cheating if you're built for it.
That's a really good point. I think actually that's a really good way to look at that.
Yeah, like Shaq's not cheating in basketball.
Right. Right. I mean, at times it felt like cheating, but that's just his advantage. Yeah. All right. So underrated. I think that's a good take. And Tommy, I don't know if it added up, but it looks like he passed, didn't he?
That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah. So we'll send you your trophy. You can put it next to your Strongest Man on Earth trophy.
Sweet.
What does the Strongest Man on Earth trophy look like?
It is behind me.
Is that what it? Okay, that's why I wondered if that's what it is there. Okay, yeah. It was hard to tell on depth how far behind that was, so I couldn't tell if the
trophy. It's way back there. It's funny whenever we film here because I'm at Braden's house and he has all his like climbing gear and mountaineering stuff in the back. Right, so in my YouTube comments, people are like, "Is that a split snowboard? Do you do that?" I'm like, "No, I don't. No,
I'm actually pretty good at that too.
This is all someone else's hobbies." Yeah. But I thought I'd bring the trophy.
Yeah, I assume you just bring that with you everywhere you go from now on.
Yeah, and it's easy to transport. It's like 30 pounds. It doesn't make sense how heavy it is. And mine's the small one. Like Hooper's and Thor's were way bigger. When we were on the podium and they like did the photo with it above their head, I turned to him and I was like, "Are we doing this one-handed or two-handed? Because I don't think I can do one-handed." Yeah. I'm very sore. So I'm glad we did the two-handed trophy lift.
I was like, "You won the circus dumbbell, but you can't hold this up with one hand? What's going on
dude.
Here?" Yeah.
We're strong for 8 minutes of every contest. And I've been saying this recently in the gym. Is like I want to be strong like 4 days a year. Being strong hurts, and I don't want to be peaked all the time. It sucks.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Great news though. You did pass overrated, underrated. So importantly, we will air this episode because it requires a passing grade in order for this to go out to the public. So it will. And that kind of wraps us up. So we really appreciate you coming on. I think this is a lot of fun. I think people really enjoy this. Hopefully we got some people listening that didn't know as much about you and now get a good introduction. Hopefully they get over and check out your YouTube channel. What else? We talked about what is your YouTube channel and where would you like to send people? Like if you got them listening, where do you want them to check you out at?
Yeah, I would like to send people over to my YouTube. It's Hatton Strength. It's all linked on my Instagram. I think that's where most people follow me is Instagram. I feel like a lot of the strongman world and Lizzo hating world follows me on Instagram. But yeah, if we could just draw a little bit more to my YouTube, that's the biggest thing you do to help me out. It's been awesome. It's been fun. And it's catching traction, especially this last weekend. And I think right after this, we're gonna film our video that's like our thoughts and recap on day 2 and the final of that. So that's coming. I don't know if that will come out before this. It just depends if you guys can edit faster than Braden.
It's a contest, damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Yes, I would honestly I watched several of the YouTube videos and it is good stuff. So I would recommend everyone checking it out. We appreciate you coming on, making your way through road construction. You said hell or high water, you'll be here and you made it happen. So we appreciate it.
Yeah. We appreciate you guys having me on.
All right. Thanks, man.
Thanks a lot, Lucas.
Cool beans. Cool beans.
Those are strongest man on earth. Cool beans.
Cool beans. So you know they're strong beans. Mm-hmm. That was good. That was great.
Yeah.
Good fun interview with third strongest man on earth, Lucas Hatton.
He's good.
I could tell after watching some of his stuff in preparation for this. I'm like, oh yeah, this guy's gonna know what to. This guy knows a thing or two about a thing or two. I can tell. You know who else knows a thing or two about a thing or two?
Who's that?
Build Fast Formula Supplements. Check them out at buildfastformula.com. That's where you can find all their supplements. You can also, anything you purchase there, use discount code Massenomics. That saves you 10% on your entire purchase, every single purchase you make there. We are users of Vaso Blitz and Full Blitz, and 80/20 Protein are my most common products I use from them.
I just got on
Did you get a new flavor?
I got onto the 80/20, the chocolate peanut butter. I feel like an idiot, but in my head, I'm just thinking chocolate and peanut butter, not really putting together the dots of that's what a peanut butter cup is, you know?
Right.
Until I tasted it, and I'm like, this is amazing. This is great.
Yeah.
Might be my new
Is
favorite
that your
flavor.
new favorite?
It might be.
I've got some of that in my cupboard right now. I've got some of that. I also like the chocolate.
I got that too.
vanilla.
But it's nice having two to bounce between too, you know?
I love the two to bounce between.
When you're a man of class, you have options.
Exactly. I agree. I think that matters. So check them out at buildfastformula.com. Discount code Massenomics. Free shipping in the U.S. on all orders $100 or more.
And this episode is also brought to you by SwissLink. SwissLink has been importing military issue goods to the United States for over 30 years. They have everything you can imagine, from Czech Army pharmacy scales to what else do we got here? Swiss Taz Alpen flag field shirts. So it's a pretty big range. Right now, if you head on over there, you can get yourself, the weather's going to start cooling off here in a little bit. You can get yourself some of those classic SwissLink wool blankets. They are loved by people worldwide. They're that damn good. You can also pick up a Wavian fuel can, or maybe even some type of Wavian water bottle holder too while you're at it. If you head on over to swisslink.com and use code MASS, you can save 15% on your next order. At swisslink.com, code MASS will save you 15%. Thank you, SwissLink.
Thanks, SwissLink. There was something I was going to ask you about. We'll probably wrap this up pretty soon, but there was one thing. I can't remember. You said you've been kind of sick, so how's your training been going?
Oh, I was already, because I was in Aberdeen last week, so
right.
My schedule was already messed up to the point where I'm like, well, I'll just kind of play catch up on the weekend, which is fine. Well, then I got fairly sick, and so those got thrown out. So then I was like, well, I'll play catch up this week. Maybe have to miss a day, not a big deal. And I did my last day of the week for of the bridge block is not too bad. So I was able to get through that. I just took it a little easier on a couple of the lifts, no big deal. And then I was really hoping, all right, by the time Thursday rolls around, which is today, I'll be back at it full speed. And I just can't quite get over the hump here. I don't know. I'm going to try and do something shortly after we record this, but I'm not totally confident in
how great it'll be.
My ability to be standing upright if I do a timed squat workout the way I'm supposed to, which is really annoying. So I might just have to scale things back a little bit, which is okay because, it's a bridge block. We're so far away from anything that it doesn't matter. But it is really annoying because I was really starting to feel like I have a full head of steam here. Nothing can slow me down. And once I start
like a little sickness to
once I start seeing my baby girl with the snotty nose, it's like, all right, is that going to be coming for me? Because you've had that for like 2 weeks, and then yes, eventually it was coming for me, and just can't quite get away from it.
Yeah, that's always helpful, isn't it?
Oh, it's where. And then I was reminded of when you were talking about. Remember when you got really sick and you finally watched True Detective? All of that.
Yeah, like an entire day.
So I'm like, am I going to be that sick?
Yeah.
And then I'm like, no, I'm just at the computer. And then I'm like going brain dead and just thinking, what am I doing here? And it's just been a real test of my willpower the last couple of days.
Yeah. I have been bridge blocking too. Nothing really to report on it to speak of, other than I have also been playing noon ball twice a week, kind of.
Yeah.
So what I did start doing is not doing my carries. I'm kind of kind of a stickler for the rules, where I'm like, if it's on the thing, I like to do it because that's just
there for
is
a
my
reason,
nature.
Right?
Yeah, that is my nature. That if it's on there, I like to do it. So it's really hard for me. It's way harder for me to not do something that's on there than it is to do it.
Yep. This was when outside of not having my sandbag for the first 2 weeks, this week now was the first time I've left stuff off in quite a while.
Right. And I have been doing that just because I've been getting a lot of movement and a lot of running in for the basketball.
Totally understandable.
I just need like a little bit less here because it just becomes a little bit too much on the old body, I think. And so I I have stopped doing those like this last week or two. I don't know if that's the right call or not, but I just felt like I needed a little bit less.
Yeah, I think
because it was a little too much.
I think that's a time where you make a smart substitution because
Yeah.
the name of the game is to just, I think at the end of the day, the point of the sandbag carry is just more conditioning than.
That's what I kind of think, and I'm getting way more conditioning when I play basketball than I would from the 10 carries. So that's kind of what I figured there. Although I skipped noon ball today in lieu of recording the Massenomics podcast instead.
This is like a sandbag carry though. This podcast.
This is like a 12 imam sandbag carry. Should that wrap us up for this week, do you think, Tommy?
I think so.
Make sure to go over and become a supporting member. The Line in the Sand is coming soon. Check out that new drop that just came out with the new banner, new lifting department tee, and the chicken bake tee restock now with 52 grams of protein. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Lucas talked about his growing YouTube channel. I feel like almost everything he said resonates with us to a certain degree. So please, if you're not subscribing on our Massenomics YouTube channel, we would love to have you there. We have a new video every single week, along with the new podcast video every single week. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast. Rate us on, what's that other platform? Spotify. It's a rating on that platform.
That sound platform. What was that?
Yeah. Wherever you can go and do something about Massenomics, just please go and do it. Tommy, where do they find you at?
You can find me at Tomahawk_D.
You can follow me at Tanner_Bear. Just make sure to follow Massenomics at Massenomics.
See ya.